Welcome to PBCJ's live coverage of the lower house. I'm Simone Absalom. The session will start with a roll call of those in attendance. This is usually followed by statements by ministers, questions and answers to questions, items on the government business, and private members' motion. On the agenda this afternoon, the sectoral debate continues. Now, during the debates, cabinet ministers and junior ministers are expected to record their performance and their projections since the previous year, while opposition spokespersons on various portfolios will seek answers and criticize or support government programs and policies. This session's contributors includes members Desmond McKenzie, Dr. Morris Guy, Faval Williams, and Delmore Chuck. If you are planning to attend any session at Gordon House, here are some rules you need to keep in mind. No visitor shall create any act of disorder within the precincts of the house. No visitor shall be admitted to the house without first obtaining an admission card from the office of the clerk. Visitors who remain within the precincts of the house during a suspension of the session are asked to keep silent. No photography, videography, or sketching of the proceedings is allowed unless so authorized by the presiding officer. And there should be no smoking inside the parliamentary building. The use of the following items is not permitted within the gallery or precincts of the house: cellular phones, laptop computers, computer tablets, food, drink, or weapons. And that's what's on the agenda today. Please remember that the schedule can be changed or moved. Now over.
Dr. Davies, Mr. Fagan, Dr. Ferguson, Dr. Green, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Hales, Mrs. Holness, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Kellier, Mr. Main, Dr. McNeil, Ms. Nita, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Michael Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Pickersgill, Mr. Redmond, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mrs. Simpson-Miller, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Terrelong, Reverend Thwaites, Mr. Dwayne Vaz, Mr. Wright.
Statements by ministers. Announcements.
Annual report and audited financial statements of the Social Development Commission for the year 2014-2015. Annual reports and audited financial statements of the Board of Supervision for the Relief of the Poor in Jamaica for the years 2000 to 2005. Annual performance report for the year 2016-2017.
Members, I wish to recognize a number of visitors with us here today, former Member of Parliament and relatives and friends, parliamentarians. I wish you to welcome them. Petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally. Mr. Semudo.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Companies Amendment Act 2017.
Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to sittings of the House. Motions for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business.
Mr. Speaker, we'll continue the sectoral debate 2017, and at this time the Minister of Local Government and Community Development will make his contribution.
Minister Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, Mr. Speaker, let me say, Mr. Speaker, Hawaki, Mr. Speaker, permission to speak from a seat other than mine.
Go ahead, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is a pleasure again, Mr. Speaker, to be able to make another contribution in the sectorial debate for this year. First of all, I'd like to extend thanks to the Almighty for affording me the privilege to live to see another day, and to continue to thank Him for His mercies and His tender keeping care. Mr. Speaker, I want to also acknowledge the Most Honourable Prime Minister and leader of the great Jamaica Labour Party, who continues to demonstrate in his own way the ability and the competence and the integrity that is required to lead Jamaica. And I'm proud, Mr. Speaker, to be associated with the Most Honourable Prime Minister. To you, Mr. Speaker, my congratulations on the fact that I once represented the political division that you represent, the Denham Town. We have something in common, and I want to commend you for the job that you continue to do as Speaker. To my parliamentary colleagues on both sides of the House, Mr. Speaker, again I want to say we continue to enjoy a very good working relationship. To the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, I too want to extend my personal word of congratulations to her, and to extend to her the respect and the gratitude of the people of West Kingston, and in extension the Jamaica Labour Party. She has been a real true warrior for the People's National Party. I welcome the Honourable Peter Phillips to the new role as leader of the opposition, and as been said before, it is a position that he will hold until we say hold it no more. Mr. Speaker, the staff of the Ministry of Local Government continues to offer the kind of support that is required to make the ministry work and to make it effective. And I want to extend to the staff of the Ministry of Local Government my sincere thanks and appreciation, and ask them to continue to do the job that they have been doing so far. to my personal staff, Mr. Speaker, my personal assistant in the ministry, Susan, and to the staff in my office, and to my close personal security, Mr. Speaker, I want to say much thanks and big up. Mr. Speaker, words would not be too much for me to say to the people of West Kingston, thank you for being the great, reliable constituency that they have been since 1962 for this great Jamaica Labour Party. Mr. Speaker, I will ensure that I participate fully in the constituency debate so I can speak a lot more on my constituency. Finally, in this segment, Mr. Speaker, family plays a very important role, Mr. Speaker. And I'm glad that my wife, Mr. Speaker, of 39 years is present this afternoon in the Parliament. Sharing, Mr. Speaker, this very special occasion. And to my family and all those, Mr. Speaker, who continue to give me strength and support. I want to thank the Most Honourable Prime Minister for giving me the opportunity of announcing to the country nomination day and the date of the local government elections in 2016. It was a special experience, Mr. Speaker, and it shows the high regard that is held by the Prime Minister and Chairman of the Cabinet for local government. The outcome on the night of Monday, November the 28th, is one that I will always remember, and I know that others will never forget it. In this House last year, Mr. Speaker, I called for the country to give to the Labour Party both central and local government. They did so, Mr. Speaker, and that have started us, Mr. Speaker, on the road to prosperity. I want to say once again, thanks to the people of Jamaica for giving us the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the presence of the mayors of all the municipalities across the country that is present here in the chamber, and the councillors who have travelled from far to give support. Mr. Speaker, the role of local government and community development is widely misunderstood. Many persons, including some within the organs of local government, believe that its function is barely to go beyond moving resolutions for cleaning of drains. However, every aspect of life in the country, Mr. Speaker, requires the regulatory project input of local government. Approval for hotels, general business, housing project, large and small, require the input of local government. Mr. Speaker, 2,560 new construction applications were approved between April and December 2016 at an investment value of $39 billion, Mr. Speaker. This also represents, Mr. Speaker, over 51,000 indirect jobs within the construction industry. All major pillars of the economy depend on the efficient participation of local government. Local government contributes to the employment objective of the administration through the construction and repairs of infirmaries, drop-in center, other infrastructure, minor road construction, repair to minor water supply. It contributes to employment and prosperity through the initiative of the Social Development Commission in the Young Program for Young Entrepreneurs in the country. This ministry also contributes to national security through the municipal police force, Mr. Speaker. These are just some of the reasons Mr. Speaker, why the Economic Growth Council has assessed this ministry as having the third most critical contribution to make to Jamaica achieving at least 5% growth per annum beginning in 2020. This is also why the ministry has embarked on an aggressive drive to transform local government from inside out, beginning with the people who work through the system, the councillors, the administrative staff in the local authority. Mr. Speaker, we initiated a program of a 2 days orientation for councillors, which started in January this year through to the end of February. The participants were exposed to the requirements of an effective implementation of their jobs through presentation from the Contractor General, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Jamaica Social Investment Fund, and ALGA J. I must say, the response of the councillors was very positive, Mr. Speaker. There is a clear buy-in to our efforts to transform local government. Special meetings were held with the CEOs, the Chief Engineering Officers, planners, disaster coordinators, poor relief administrators since the start of this year, and these will continue. The next series of orientation will involve the administrative staff of the municipal corporations. Mr. Speaker, much has been said about placing local government in the Constitution, but little about empowering by giving it institutional value. This is why we are pursuing an initiative with the management of Institute for National Development, MIND, to make local government a full 2-year program of study that anyone, including the elected representative, the administrative practitioner in the system, can study and be certified in local government. Our efforts have attracted, Mr. Speaker, international support from the United Nations Development Program, which has formally indicated its readiness to assist. This project is intended to develop local government to its full potential, to create lasting institutional memory. Personnel from 4 municipal corporations, St. Thomas, Portmore, Kingston and St. Andrew, and St. Catherine, will form the first part of the corps that will be trained under this program. Mr. Speaker, we are not just improving local government, we are creating local government to make it transformational, Mr. Speaker. Idea-driven, forward-thinking, problem-solving. Local government, Mr. Speaker, must work and will work because we are determined to make it work. As promised last year, we established the Land Divestment Committee, commence a risk-based auditing training. As of August 2016, 11 of the 14 municipal corporations have been audited, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I intend in due course to present to this Honourable House a complete copy of the audit report so that the Parliament will have an opportunity to see the workings of the local authorities and to see the improvements that have been made. I must single out, Mr. Speaker, the Trelawney Municipal Corporation for being the first to establish one of the recommendations that was put forward by the audit team, Mr. Speaker. We are working to improve local government from the top to the bottom, Mr. Speaker. the Land Divestment Committee was established in keeping with the policy framework and procedural manual for the divestment of government-owned lands 2016. The lands owned by municipal corporations are critical to their revenue expansion. It is estimated, Mr. Speaker, for example, that the Bogue lands in Montego Bay, and the mayor of St. James of Montego Bay is here. It is expected, Mr. Speaker, that the Bogue lands could give to the St. James Municipal Corporation $40 million through commercial lease arrangements, Mr. Speaker. The municipal corporations own about 2,500 parcels of land island-wide. And that is not the total figure. The local authorities own lands that they don't even know. And that is why we have started to work with the National Land Agency to establish full accounting of all the lands owned by the municipal corporation.
Very good, very good.
Transforming local government is also about empowering the elected representatives to be more responsive to the people in their divisions. For many years, councillors have been able to do little more than comfort their constituents in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. This is why tangible changes are being made, starting this year, to give the elected councillors the financial tool to be effective, Mr. Speaker. For the first time, funds will be dedicated to the elected representatives to carry out meaningful changes at the divisional level. I wish to announce, Mr. Speaker, that $400 million will be made available for indigent and social housing assistance, education, and funeral grants to the elected representatives.
Here, here. Here is Buchaska.
$115 million, Mr. Speaker, will be devoted to a special fund to assist councillors to respond decisively to victims of fires and other disasters in their division.
Here, here.
There will also be an allocation, Mr. Speaker, for the first time, to the elected local representatives to assist with the establishment of an official office in their divisions right across the country, Mr. Speaker. We will also provide, Mr. Speaker, to all councillors and the mayor of Portmore, we will provide a tablet to each councillor to enhance the execution of their duties right across the country. Mr. Speaker, let me break down the allocation. Each councillor will have access to $500,000 per year to provide needy assistance to their constituents for housing grant, Mr. Speaker. $500,000 per division. Starting this financial year.
No worry about
you will soon know.
You will soon find out.
90 million, Mr. Speaker. 90 million will be made available to care for those who live in infirmaries, in indigent housing across the country, Mr. Speaker. $90 million for indigent housing support. An additional $1.7 million will be made available to each local authorities to assist with educational grants. An additional $1.5 will be made available to each local authority to assist in funeral grants, Mr. Speaker. there are homes that take in the care and the homeless people, Mr. Speaker. We are going to provide financial assistance to those homes in amount relative to the size and number of the people they serve. The processing of all applications for all these benefits will be managed by the Poor Relief Department of the Municipal Corporation to ensure that all verification and compliance requirements are adhered to, Mr. Speaker, under this program. This is a new day in local government. I have been in the system, Mr. Speaker, for over 39 years. I know the challenges the elected and the administrative officials face. In meetings with them since my appointment as minister, I have heard the cry across the political divide for something new and lasting to happen in local government. It is happening now. The councillors are seeing the change. Staff of the local authorities are seeing the change. There are members of parliament in this honourable house who serve as councillors. And I know they will welcome the changes that are being made to strengthen local government, Mr. Speaker. We are determined over time to transform the physical space in which the elected representatives work. They can become a true place of service to the public, as well as the modern symbol of civic pride. In this regard, work will shortly begin on the new Portmore Municipal Council building. Cabinet has approved this project at a cost of $90 million. I will be signing along with the mayor of Portmore shortly the contract for the construction of this new facility.
Mr. Mayor.
Work on the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation building continue. I must say I'm disappointed that this project is not yet at the stage where we can say it has been completed to where we want, Mr. Speaker.
I left 30 million.
The project is at a cost of $75 million, Mr. Speaker, and we are hoping that within the next 6 to 8 weeks, that project will be completed. We carried out retrofitting work at the St. Mary Municipal Corporation and the Trelawney Municipal Corporation by providing public address system for these municipal corporations, Mr. Speaker. We continue to ensure that the local authorities operate in a manner that is befitting their position. Our next focus of attention, Mr. Speaker, is the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation. We have already started the design on that facility, Mr. Speaker. They are operating without an office, and coming in the new financial year, we will turn our attention to the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the member asked, where is the money coming from to do all of this? I want this honourable house and the country to understand that the vast majority of the projects we undertook in 2016, 2017, and this financial year, the proceeds that were used to undertake these work was the equalization fund. What was it used to be do? What you used to do with it before? We are making it work. We are making it work, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the orderly development of the building and environment, as well as economic growth and development, will be enhanced when we debate the Building Bill 2017, which is tabled in this House, which I expect, Mr. Speaker, to pilot that bill at the end of the sectorial debate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this administration is making transformational inventions in the country and the society. this ministry is no different. I advise the local authorities that this year they will have to begin to earn their keeps and to demonstrate the worth of the responsibility given to them, Mr. Speaker. Property taxes, Mr. Speaker. Property taxes, Mr. Speaker. The target that was set for property taxes was exceeded by some $350 million, Mr. Speaker. We surpassed the target set for property taxes during the 2016-2017 period. Mr. Speaker, we are going to be turning our attention to trade license. But, Mr. Speaker, the reason why we were able to be so effective in the property tax collection, it was because of the two tax mobile that was introduced in the system, Mr. Speaker. And between the period of February to March, the tax mobile was able to collect $42.9 million of property taxes on the road, Mr. Speaker. We intend, based on the success of the tax mobile, to require another one. And the discussions are well advanced to allow the tax mobile, to collect our cash, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to another area of importance. Last year I committed the country in this Honourable House that infrastructural changes would take place at the Manchester and Portland Infirmary at a cost of $135 million. I can report that work valued at approximately $15 million have started at the male ward at the Portland Infirmary. In relation to the Manchester Infirmary, Mr. Speaker, work is being carried out on the medical station of the facility at a cost of $15 million, Mr. Speaker. The Trelawney Infirmary will also benefit from infrastructural improvement to the tune of $5 million. These include changes to the male ward, retrofitting of the roof, electrical works and general repairs. These works, Mr. Speaker, is to create space in a building for the infirmary. Mr. Speaker, last year I announced teaming up with my colleague minister to work on the infirmaries to provide accommodation for persons who are abandoned in our hospitals, Mr. Speaker. That project has started, Mr. Speaker. Trelawney again has lead the way, Mr. Speaker, and they have now accepted 25 patients from the hospital into the infirmaries, Mr. Speaker.
What was Butch doing with the money?
Mr. Speaker, the St. James Infirmary, Mr. Speaker, has been under siege for years. We, Mr. Speaker, is providing $40 million to assist in the construction of a new wing at the St. James Infirmary. The ministry, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that we continue to improve all the facilities of our infirmaries. And this year, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be expanding the program. Our infirmaries, Mr. Speaker, house 1,420 residents, 834 men, 586 women. It is the responsibility of the government to ensure that we take proper care of these people. That is what prosperity is all about, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the drop-in centers for the homeless people, we committed ourselves last year. We continue the work. We have built one in Hanover. The second is to be built in St. Ann. Work on 2 new drop-in centers in this new financial year will be undertaken in the parishes of St. Mary and St. Elizabeth at a cost of $24 million, Mr. Speaker. All these initiatives form a part of the ministry's social protection responsibility. This is a traditional discharge of the Board of Supervision for the relief of poor in Jamaica. We have undertaken a comprehensive review of the effectiveness of this agency. In that context, Mr. Speaker, the Poor Relief Act of 1886, under which it operates, its duty in relation to those performed by the local authorities. And in that context, Mr. Speaker, I wish to advise that we will be winding up the operations of the Board of Supervision and to incorporate its function into the personnel into the central ministry as we seek to create more efficiency in the public sector, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear.
Last year, I indicate that we would take interest in our markets, Mr. Speaker. Port Maria, Clarkstown, and Buff Bay was announced in my presentation last year. Because of certain challenges with the Port Maria and the Buff Bay market, we are rescoping the work of both markets. But I'm pleased to announce, Mr. Speaker, that we have concluded phase 1 of Clarkstown, and we will commence phase 2 of Clarkstown, which will cost $20 million, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, we have responsibility for roads, drains, and burials across the country. We financed over the last financial year, Mr. Speaker, 100 kilometers of roads, rehabilitate and 12 kilometers of roadway. An additional $400 million was spent on drain cleaning and repairs to mitigate against flooding. However, we recognize the greater need for more extensive repair to the road network, and I will be announcing in due course a comprehensive program to address this, Mr. Speaker. I also want to acknowledge the shortage of burial space in public cemeteries across the country. St. Catherine, Mr. Speaker, is a parish that is greatly affected by it. I wish to announce, Mr. Speaker, that in association with the St. James Municipal Corporation, we will be spending in this financial year some $40 million to construct a brand new cemetery for the people of St. Catherine, Mr. Speaker. And I want to commend St. Catherine, I want to commend the mayor of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation and the councillors for the initiative on this program, Mr. Speaker. It is our responsibility, Mr. Speaker, to assist in this project. The project will be on the outskirts of Old Harbour. On the outskirts of Old Harbour.
Where? Towards the town?
Yeah, on the outskirts, Salisbury. Mr. Speaker, an efficient network of streetlights is a critical part of national security infrastructure of the country. I advised the country last year that this administration is unhappy about the state of this vital service. The ministry pays the Jamaica Public Service Company from property taxes over $1 billion in the last financial year. Mr. Speaker, the bill for that period was $2.8 billion. The reality that between GCT and the payments and the balance brought forward from the last financial year, the debt to the Jamaica Public Service Company has risen to some $5.4 billion. As I promised the House last year, we have been having a series of discussions with the JPS to look at how best to deal with the problem. The commitment for the scheduled implementation of the smart streetlight system The schedule was specified in the electricity license of 2016. This system, when it comes into place, Mr. Speaker, will decrease the price of street lights to the country, and we are hoping to have an improved quality of public lighting across the country. We are also going to be assisting, Mr. Speaker, the local authorities to undertake a comprehensive night audit to see exactly how much. It was never done before. You did a day audit. We are going to establish what is working, Mr. Speaker, and in the process, we're going to be providing employment for people to do that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the National Solid Waste Management Authority continues to work to improve garbage collection across the country. 17 new compactor units were ordered in 2015-16. 6 were delivered early this year, Mr. Speaker. Another 3 is expected this month, with the remaining 8 expected by July this year. I must again say, Mr. Speaker, thanks to the government of Japan for donating 2 tipper trucks which were commissioned in service in January of this year. An additional 11 compactor units were secured, Mr. Speaker, in the 2016-2017 budget. MSWMA will require 11 new units. The agency will receive 2 compactor units from JSIF in this financial year under the Integrated Community Development Project. This additional of 30 collection units to the MSWMA fleet will increase its capacity for more residential waste, reduce the operational pressure on the existing units by 50%. This year, the National Solid Waste Management Authority is expected to collect 720 tons of solid waste island-wide. The agency will be able to significantly improve its collection, Mr. Speaker. I must commend, Mr. Speaker, the management of the National Solid Waste Management Authority. They have lifted the standard of the entity. People are no longer talking in a negative way about the National Solid Waste Management Authority. It is because of the leadership that we have instituted at the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management had a very quiet year, Mr. Speaker. They assisted in the work at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. As I indicated last year, preparation in response to the hurricane season and the rationalization of the shelter management and operations, which involve the local authorities and the Social Development Commission, continue in partnership, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the men and women of the agency who continue to commit and to encourage them to continue to offer the service that they continue to give to the people of this country. I must say thanks to the Japanese government for providing $12.6 million grant. This grant was signed by the Minister of Finance and myself earlier this month with the ambassador to Japan of Japan to Jamaica. This project, Mr. Speaker, will enable the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management to respond in an emergency to communicate efficiently across the country whenever a disaster hit the country, Mr. Speaker. Again, we want to say thanks to the Japanese government for their assistance. Mr. Speaker, the disaster fund presently stands at $550 million, Mr. Speaker, and we'll be working to ensure, along with the Ministry of Finance, that we increase the amount that is held in reserve. The Jamaica Fire Brigade continue to protect residents and businesses across the country while pursuing a dedicated program of educating our citizens about fire prevention. Mr. Speaker, the fire service in this year or in the last year received over some 10,000 calls, and already in this new year, Mr. Speaker, in the first 2 months, they received over 3,000 calls, Mr. Speaker. We continue our efforts to improve the capacity. 5.8 million was spent on firefighting equipment in the last financial year. This year, a substantial amount will be spent, 173 million, which will ensure the fire brigade will receive 4 pumper trucks, 2 water tanks, and also, Mr. Speaker, somebody asked me in a meeting, where is the boat? The 2 boats are here, Mr. Speaker. This is a government that is working. This is a government of prosperity. Mr. Speaker, we'll also be expanding the program to repair fire hydrants across the island. Mr. Speaker, in 2014, the Japanese government gave to this country 2 fire trucks that has been lingering in Westmoreland for so many years, Mr. Speaker. We are now retrofitting those 2 fire trucks, Mr. Speaker, to put them into action and to show our gratitude to the Japanese government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we'll be undertaking comprehensive repairs to fire stations right across the country, Mr. Speaker. We'll be working on the Junction Fire Station. We'll be working on the Buff Bay and Oak Bay Fire Station. We'll be building a new perimeter fence for the fire station in the Grill in Westmoreland, Mr. Speaker. After years of neglect, Mr. Speaker, we are taking prosperity and make it work, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Social Development Commission continue to perform well, Mr. Speaker. It is work over the last financial year, Mr. Speaker, has proven to be a strength of support to the government. The Social Development Commission increased the number of Jamaicans who have entered into its program. Over 320 local businesses were created, generating over $650 million in revenues, Mr. Speaker. They provided 1,849 jobs, 822 full-time, 788 part-time, and 233 seasonal jobs. This, Mr. Speaker, is approximately 3,000 jobs that they create during their monthly programs right across the country. One of the flagship of the Ministry of Local Government, Mr. Speaker, continue to be the Social Development Commission. Last year, for the first time, the administration provided a working capital for the Social Development Commission. This year, we are going to provide an additional $50 million to the Social Development Commission, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Local Government is not just about drains and about roads, Mr. Speaker. It is about community development. Mr. Speaker, community parks and community centers are an important aspect of community development. The emphasis of the ministry and the SDC is to play a vital role in maintaining these facilities. Last year I indicated 3 community parks would be built. One in St. Andrew, one in St. Catherine, one in Trelawney. Work is well in progress on the Ulster Spring Community Park, Mr. Speaker, in Trelawney at a cost of $5 million. We'll be spending $6.9 million on the Twickenham Park in St. Catherine, Mr. Speaker, and we'll be spending $7 million on the park in Olympic Way in West Central St. Andrew, Mr. Speaker. Prosperity working in the community. We will complete these projects, Mr. Speaker, and implement new ones. The community park in Duane Park, Clarendon, Hanover, and St. Thomas will be undertaken at a cost of $34 million, Mr. Speaker. Prosperity working to improve community lives. Yes. Community centers, Mr. Speaker, are critical to social integration. As I announced on the birthday of Sir Alexander Bustamante in Blenheim in Hanover, work have started on the community center. We have received MP from the SDC and the estimates, and we will commence the repair on a center that was built, given to the community, that has been left abandoned for over 20 years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the work to repair the road leading to the birthplace of Sir Alexander Bustamante in Blenheim in Hanover, that work has commenced. I promise the community that on Labor Day, that road will be officially open, Mr. Speaker. We are well on the way to fulfill the commitment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this person has never christened his picnic first, Mr. Speaker.
Minister,
Mr.
time
Speaker,
allotted
after
to
the
the
minister's time
member
be
for speaking
extended.
has expired.
Mr.
You may
Speaker,
take step to have him continue.
I ask that the minister's time be extended for 5 minutes for him to complete his presentation.
The motion is, gentlemen, the motion on the floor is that the minister be extended 5 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? Minister.
Oh, we are called back. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the saying that this pastor have never christened his picnic first, Mr. Speaker. But I won't christen them last either, Mr. Speaker. Having started the work on the Blenheim Community Center, I am pleased to announce, Mr. Speaker, that this year work will commence on upgrading and repair the Tivoli Gardens Community Center in my own constituency. Mr. Speaker, in concluding this presentation to the Honourable House, the member from St. Catherine just walked in, and I made a commitment that we will conclude the repairs that was started on the Linstead Market as a part of 2015. And that commitment, Mr. Speaker, will be undertaken. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is on a path of transformation that goes far beyond the reform agenda. We are developing new ideas that are improving people's lives in the real sense. That is what prosperity is all about. That is why we have spent $10 million, Mr. Speaker, to establish the first water shop in Penance in Clarendon, which will transform the lives of all the people in the area and the surrounding communities, Mr. Speaker. That is why we'll be continuing this year with the construction of a water shop in Manchester and St. Elizabeth at a cost of $20 million, Mr. Speaker. Buying 3 trucks to serve the most drought-stricken, effective parishes in the country, Mr. Speaker. That is why we'll be spending over $700 million in social protection under the local authorities in this financial year. That is why we are improving the capacity of the local authorities through education to drive the development process. That will create additional new businesses, new source of economic growth from hotels, places of amusement to business processing, outsourcing, and industrial parks. That is why we are making local government a subject of formal study to raise the professionalism amongst all who serve in the system now, and to make local government attractive to the men and women from all walks of life. This is not just improving local government, Mr. Speaker. That is why we have implemented the transformation at the national level. We have not lost sight of the economic growth and development happening at the community level through the Social Development Commission. We are making prosperity happen, Mr. Speaker. The SDC is driving the creation of thousands of jobs, developing a new class of young entrepreneurs within their communities. This ministry is in the field, making prosperity not just a national call to action, but a personal experience for more and more Jamaicans in their local spaces. Local government is my life, Mr. Speaker. I have always been convinced of its vital importance to national life. Now we are changing it from the top, the bottom, inside and outside, Mr. Speaker. We are raising the bar of public service, making local governance more and more valuable to the Jamaicans here and overseas. This is a challenging and exciting time. I am certain that this ministry will deliver prosperity to the Jamaican people through local government. I hope that by 2016, when I come by 2026, by 2026, when I come to the maximum required period of service as Minister of Local Government, our people will agree that prosperity promised was delivered and that we are still experiencing prosperity at a national level. National prosperity built by local government. Mr. Speaker, prosperity in action. Prosperity must work. May God bless all of us who work in local government.
Well done, Betsy.
Members. The next producer.
Mr. Speaker, the member from Central St. Mary, the spokesman on foreign affairs, will now make his contribution towards the sectoral debate.
Mr. Guy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Somebody? One fix. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make my contribution to these debates as the opposition spokesman on foreign affairs and foreign trade. However, Before I do, I want to thank the former leader of the party, the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, and the leader, Dr. Peter Phillips, for their confidence reposed in me to speak on this portfolio. To my family, I want to thank them for being there for me through the challenges of political representation and for coping with the extended periods of absence. My wife Nadine, much love and respect and thanks. And my daughter Kimberly, both here today to support me. And also my son Maurice, whilst not being here, gives his strength and support. To my political family of Central St. Mary, the many workers and friends in the constituency, indeed the entire constituency electors, my 4 councillors, yes, 4, 2 PNP and 2 JLP, for the working relationship over the past years for some and the months for others in working to make the lives of the citizens of that constituency better. To members of my constituency executive who are here today, my appreciation for the tremendous work they have and are continuing to do to make my work a little easier and to make the affairs of the constituency orderly. Finally, to my good friends who assist my work in their varied ways, my respect and gratitude always. Amen. Mr. Speaker, to you for your guidance over the past year. I have seen where you have increasingly stamped your authority to make the Parliament a better arena. And though not always agreeing with your rulings, have come to respect your efforts at gaining the respectability of this House. To the members of the House, both sides who have extended respect and courtesies and friendship, I honor your obligations and engagements and will always treasure the moments in this House. Mr. Speaker, last year, in my sectoral contribution, I emphasized the need to have the country's representative in our 3 large partner countries appointed. I'm happy to see that they have been appointed and have begun their engagements on behalf of the country. We wish them well. Mr. Speaker, since my presentation last year, the international arena has seen many changes, some with far-reaching implications in the international order. We have a new President of the United States, whose foreign and domestic policy have caused some jitters around the world, and even here in Jamaica. 1 year after the Brexit referendum in the UK, we have now seen clear evidence that the United Kingdom is finally heading in that direction. And we too in Jamaica, like some countries of the rest of the world, wait to see what implication it will have for us. And in furtherance of the challenges perceived with Brexit negotiations, we have seen where there's going to be an early election in the United Kingdom.
And Jamaica.
All of the above have implications for Jamaica. And these are matters which our government needs to approach with the delicacy and measured response which is required. Mr. Speaker, our brothers and sisters residing abroad are an integral part of who we are as Jamaicans. They have and are contributing to our national development and our economy in a substantial way, particularly when we consider remittances to be the largest foreign exchange earner for the country, followed by tourism. Therefore, how we treat them says a lot as to how we treat ourselves. We need them to be part of our vision for the country. We need them to be the consumers of the niche products we export. We need them to invest in the country for national development. But are we giving them the commensurate attention that is necessary?
No, we're not.
Mr. Speaker, and I quote here, in the Standing Finance Committee, I asked a question of our diaspora policy, which I am advised was completed and was to have been tabled. We have not had sight of this, and hence the opposition is calling on the government to fast-track this report to have a definite policy relating to our brothers and sisters who reside abroad. This grouping, if significantly harnessed, can and ought to be one of the driving forces in investment in the economy, unquote. That quote, Mr. Speaker, was from my sectoral contribution 2016, and the Standing Finance Committee referred to was that of 2016. That is almost 1 year now, and we have not seen the policy as it has not been tabled in the Parliament. Last call, Mr. Speaker, at this year's Standing Finance Committee, we were told it was before the Cabinet. My God. It leads me to ask a question as to whether this administration is taking the diaspora seriously. Is the government committed to the diaspora, or are we only paying lip service? When the last administration, our administration left office, the draft was 90% complete. Certainly, well over a year. This should be a public document by now. Yes. Further, Mr. Speaker, we seek to know who is in charge of diaspora affairs at the ministry, or has this responsibility been shunted to the various missions for them to run on autopilot? Mr. Speaker, there has been some disquiet in our three main diaspora groupings in the UK, Canada, and the United States. And things apparently came to a head when, by reports coming out of Canada on March 28th of this year, under the heading, quote, Canadian delegation not attending the 2017 Jamaica 55 and Diaspora Conference, unquote, the Board of Directors of the Jamaica Diaspora Canada Foundation explained its reasons for opting out of the conference this year. They cite among the reasons the short notice given for the date of the conference. They, along with their counterparts in the USA and the United Kingdom, were only informed of the conference and its date on February 13th of this year, even though it takes 1 year to successfully plan for such a conference. It seems, Mr. Speaker, that someone has fallen asleep on the job. Hence my question again, who is in charge of the diaspora affairs? Further, Mr. Speaker, seemingly there was no plans to host a conference this year. The usual date period is June, but this has been changed to July. And this is another reason cited by the Board of Directors of the Jamaica Diaspora Canada Foundation for not attending. Was this date changed in a last-ditch attempt to host something not originally planned for? Was this an attempt to soothe over ruffled feathers? And was this an attempt to allay concerns by the diaspora? Was this an attempt to save face? These are questions that need urgent answers from this administration, Mr. Speaker. We are encouraged by some developments in CARICOM, Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the treatment of Jamaican nationals traveling in CARICOM, and especially Jamaicans traveling to Trinidad. Whilst we note the improvements, we need to see much more. We still need to see our citizens being treated humanely and accorded the rights and privileges that come as a consequence of our membership in CARICOM and guaranteed by the revised Treaty of Chagaramas. Information has come to me that Jamaicans and even members of the regional body, the University of the West Indies, are being given a hard time at Piarco Airport. This cannot continue, Mr. Speaker, and the voice of our government needs to be heard more. Again, we ask from the last year of my presentation, and I quote, we now need the government at the CARICOM heads of government meetings, as well as the Legal Affairs Committee of CARICOM, to ensure that each member state abide by this ruling so the interests of our nationals can be protected, unquote. This talk shop cannot continue, and we seek for our government to act in a more forceful way to protect the interests of our people whenever they travel within CARICOM. The trade issue, Mr. Speaker, is equally important. And although we have not heard anything substantial in recent times of difficulty or trade barrier restriction, the potential for this to happen exists. Therefore, we need for the administration to keep focused on this ball, or it may soon, or very soon, it may blow up. On the matter of the CARICOM Review Commission, we note, Mr. Speaker, where the Commission has presented this report to the Prime Minister, who has advised that Cabinet will now review it. The country is anxiously waiting its recommendations, and I would urge the Cabinet to do its review with dispatch. The opposition also wants to place on record is thanks to the chairman and members who served on that commission. Mr. Speaker, over the many years, Jamaica has gained an enviable reputation in foreign policy due to the principled position it has taken on many issues, and that required leadership from a small country such as ours in international fora in promoting equity and fairness for all peoples of the world and champion the issues that affect the poor and vulnerable, and even broader issues that affect small island developing states like Jamaica, and long-term environmental sustainability on a global basis. We have always been respected because in our foreign relations, we have practiced principle above expediency. In our multilateral diplomacy, we have never shirked from our duty to honorably protect our own national interests when groupings of nations deliberate, while contributing to the debate on crucial issues that affect the world. We have always demonstrated respect for the community of nations and sought to promote the recognition and resolution of issues that affect countries with which we have friendly relations. Mr. Speaker, earlier this year, in January, the Prime Minister visited Israel in an official capacity. This visit created stir in the nation and concerns from many quarters, and for which this opposition tabled questions to the Prime Minister in the Parliament, which were never answered. Question 5 of those series of questions asked, and I quote, "Does the visit to Israel signify a change in the Jamaican government's long-standing policy towards the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, specifically the country's support for the two-state solution?" Unquote. We still seek answers to those, Mr. Speaker. And we also note with some consternation, Mr. Speaker, utterances from the chairman of the EGC, who accompanied the Prime Minister on the trip, and subsequently commenting at a press conference here in relation to the trip that, quote, "I am thinking that if we need growth, we need to go anywhere in the world that can give us growth. I don't care, I am going there," unquote. Is this the new foreign economic policy that the government is pursuing? I hope the answer to this is in the negative, Mr. Speaker, because even though it might be well-intentioned, the statement by itself is reckless. We also seek answers, Mr. Speaker, as to whether the withdrawal of recognition of Polisario Front in Western Sahara after 47 years and the closer ties with Morocco are also part of the Prime Minister's declaration in his 2016 budget debate that, and I quote, "Robust trade is a fundamental part of building a sustainable and prosperous economy. This administration is committed to using trade as a tool for development and economic growth," unquote. And further, quote, "Our foreign policy, Mr. Speaker, must support our economic and development policy," unquote. I wonder though, Mr. Speaker, where is our economic and development policy being supported by our foreign policy as it relates to ties with Morocco? Is the offer of 100 scholarships for Jamaicans the quid pro quo for dropping the Polisario Front? There might be more at stake, Mr. Speaker, but again, we need the government to be frank with this country on those issues. Is this expediency above principle? Venezuela has been a friend of Jamaica for many years, predating even the Hugo Chavez era and the current Maduro presidency. Long before Petrocaribe, they had given development assistance to Jamaica under the San Jose Accord, as well as the Caracas Agreement with concessionary oil arrangements. As we all know, the fortunes of Venezuela have changed because of falling world oil prices, and there have been challenges in the economy and in the country. Mr. Speaker, we need to know Jamaica's position as it relates to its posture in the OAS on Venezuela. We find it a bit strange that as a prelude to the Prime Minister's visit to Israel this year, that Jamaica was curiously absent from the crucial World Heritage Committee vote in September last year, when a vote was taken against Israel. Yet, Jamaica has consistently in the OAS not shown any support for Venezuela. Is this a case of old friends mattering no more? Again, Mr. Speaker, I will quote from the Prime Minister in his 2016 presentation, quote, "Our foreign policy, Mr. Speaker, must support our economic and policy development," unquote. Have our economy and our development no longer reliant on Venezuela since oil prices are where they are? Mr. Speaker, in bilateral diplomacy, we have paid special regard to the nurturing of a strong and durable bond between Jamaica and our powerful neighbor to the north, the United States, while maintaining excellent bilateral relationships with many other countries across the world and in our region. We recognize that while it may not be possible for countries to agree on everything, there are many shared values and shared priorities between ourselves and the USA. In the evolution of our relationship, we have concluded that there is always more that unites us than that which divides us. We have therefore, in our administrations, sought to foster closer social, cultural, political, and economic relations with our friendly neighbor that has deepened our interactions. This government, too, has also placed great value on the U.S. bilateral relations. To do otherwise would be foolish, as we are geographically close to the USA and enjoy frequent diplomatic, trade, investment, and people-to-people exchanges. Our present challenge now, Mr. Speaker, is to fully understand the dimensions of change that have come about with the election of a new president and to craft the appropriate policy responses and engagements. Hear, hear. Mr. Speaker, the records show that the USA is by far Jamaica's #1 trading partner. In 2015, we imported $1.8 billion worth of goods and exported $467 million of goods, representing 37.5% and 37% of our total imports and exports. By comparison, Trinidad and Tobago ranks second with $470 million, or 9.5% of total imports, and exports to that country does not even fall in the top 5 for Jamaica's exporters, evidencing a huge trade deficit. While the trade deficit remains an important issue to be focused on in the bilateral relationship, consideration must be given to the fact that this negative is somewhat offset by the flow of investments and other technical contributions and benefits from the United States of America. There have also been significant service flows between our countries. We draw attention to these numbers, Mr. Speaker, as a reminder to the government of the need to pay closer attention to international trade negotiations and to execute structural adjustments to our balance of payments as a part of the growth agenda, while cushioning any negative effect on our people who remain very stressed and now overburdened by new taxes. For many years, Jamaica and the Caribbean have benefited from the Caribbean Basin Initiative, established by President Reagan to allow duty-free exports of a wide variety of products into the United States. While some of our exporters have made use of this facility, we have not done enough to take advantage of this favorable trading arrangement, which was intended to be an offset for the devastating impact of globalization on our economies in the early 1980s. Mr. Speaker, I believe it's not too late for our agro-processing sector and other exporters to ramp up production to take advantage of these favorable market opportunities in the USA, not only among the diaspora, but increasingly from a renewed appreciation of Jamaican foods by foreigners. We must also seek new investment in export-oriented businesses and target U.S. markets for our products. These will require improved technological improvements, quality control, standardization, and new initiatives to leverage the market potential of the Jamaican brand. Mr. Speaker, Jamaica has developed a robust and rapidly growing BPO sector by carrying out back office operations mainly for the USA-based companies. This has created thousands of valuable jobs for young people who may not have had the opportunities for gainful employment otherwise, and this activity has added to our GDP. We express concern on the present narrative on jobs being outsourced from the USA, concurrent with the change in political administration in that country and the shadows it is casting on the future of the important BPO sector. We also have concerns about the direction in which the J1, the H2B programs, as well as the farm work program are going as a consequence of this new policy. We hope that these pressures to repatriate jobs to the USA will be resolved favorably for Jamaica and our CARICOM partners, with which we will maintain common cause. These are important areas to be monitored by the government and addressed in bilateral discussions between the USA and Jamaica. We also note with some concerns the current narrative on the U.S. international trading arrangements, which have signaled important changes to the NAFTA, the free trade arrangement between the USA, Canada, Mexico, and other trading arrangements, including a retreat from the proposed Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which has left some uncertainty in the global space in the USA trade policy, which must be carefully monitored. Secondary effects from changes to NAFTA may have a dampening effect on our local industries, as Mexican and other firms may become more aggressive in entering our markets to offset the loss of their preferential arrangements with the USA. We can expect greater competition for our exporters in non-US markets, but an offsetting competitive advantage with US markets if the preferential access that we enjoy under CBI is retained. Along with our CARICOM partners, we should lobby for the retention of CBI in trade discussions with the USA. Jamaica has benefited from increased security cooperation to combat the effects of transnational crime and high levels of international narcotics flow through our coastal waters. The recent donation of 11 boats to Jamaica has strengthened our Coast Guard capabilities and has contributed to increased surveillance of our coastline, which remains highly vulnerable to penetration by drug trade. Increased surveillance has also helped in interdicting suppliers of illegal drugs to Jamaica and strengthened our protection against international terrorism. We express appreciation for this continued technical support to Jamaica's security. We draw attention, Mr. Speaker, to the ongoing issue of de-risking of correspondent banking relationships resulting from heightened U.S. policies and enforcement of anti-money laundering laws and know your customer regulations and anti-terrorism measures. These policies have placed at risk the ability of banks in the CARICOM region to maintain correspondent banking relationships with the U.S. banks to carry out fund transfer and other international payment activity. During our political administration, we established initiatives that deepen dialogue with the U.S. administration on this issue with the help of congresspersons who have always been sensitive to the challenges that affect our region and Jamaica. I raise this issue, Mr. Speaker, to remind the government to maintain focus on this troubling issue that can quickly have damaging impact on our economy, as in a worst-case scenario, we may be unable to receive remittances and capital flows or pay our bills internationally. As we examine the current policies of the USA and its impact on Jamaica, we are drawn to the issue of a new American position on the issue of climate change and the global leadership on this agenda provided by the USA under President Obama, a position that is being reversed under the new administration. Mr. Speaker, climate change and the effects of global warming and rising sea levels represent an existential threat to small island developing states like Jamaica. The government needs to engage more deeply on this issue and, along with CARICOM partners and other SIDS across the globe, seek to bring this issue to the fore. while seeking significant resources for climate change mitigation efforts from our bilateral partners and supranational institutions like the World Bank. Jamaica faces a stark reality, Mr. Speaker, that those of our citizens who violate laws of foreign states, including those who are incarcerated, are likely to be deported to our shores in increasing numbers, Mr. Minister. Recent mass deportations have put that matter squarely in the forefront of our people's mind once again. We must call upon our citizens to respect the laws of their adopted countries. We must engage more deeply with our bilateral partners to develop cooperation and seek assistance in creating institutions and mechanisms for the rehabilitation of those who are involuntarily returned to Jamaica. Again, we call on the government to engage our bilateral partners on this very serious issue. We need to remind it that it is not only hardened criminals who may be repatriated, but children and other citizens who violated immigration laws and are forced to return. I call on our government to do more to support and accelerate initiatives that have been fostered by our diaspora in properly reintegrating these persons into Jamaica and by adding significant resources, and to seek assistance from the US and other affected countries such as Britain and Canada to fund such programs, which would be mutually beneficial. Mr. Speaker, after almost 1 year since that fateful referendum in the United Kingdom, the die is now cast, as Britain invoked Article 50 on March 28, 2017, the legislation that formally kicks off a 2-year-long Brexit process. This, Mr. Speaker, is a road for Britain to travel, but a road on which many other travelers will be impacted. There is a potential for trade and immigration consequences. And although the separation process may take as long as 2 years, it is something that this country, along with our CARICOM partners, should actively seek to be proactive and plan for any eventuality. The current trading arrangements are with the European Union, for which Britain still remains a member until the separation. There is going to be need to establish bilateral trade relations with Britain or similar arrangements akin to the EU CARIFORUM Trade Pact. While our trade with the UK does not fall within the top 5 for exports and 12th in terms of imports, the implications for Brexit and the uncertainties have more to do with, as well as with the vast diaspora living in the UK, and implications for them, as well as implications for trade, and further, serious implications for aid and developmental assistance from the EU, as a sizable chunk of the EU budget comes from the United Kingdom. From as early as last year, CARICOM was warned not to adopt a wait-and-see approach in relation to Brexit. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of the West Indies in June recommended setting up of a task force to research, monitor, and report on a very frequent timetable developments over the next 2 years. Similar warning also came from the Caribbean Council in October 2016. We, however, note also that at the last CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, the communique issued after the 37th regular meeting of CARICOM Heads of Government, and I quote, "Heads of Government agree that CARICOM should continue to monitor developments as the exit process unfolds, and underline the importance of a common and structured approach that married technical, political, and diplomatic." What is the current position? Is Jamaica, along with CARICOM, still adopting this wait-and-see approach despite warnings, now that Article 50 has been invoked? Mr. Speaker, note is also taken of the comments by the IMF as it relates to Jamaica and Brexit, stating that Brexit implication on Jamaica is likely to be modest, and that the indirect impact may operate through trade in goods and services, remittances and aid, as well as financial and debt markets. Adding that the deceleration of growth in the United Kingdom and the EU and the weakening of the pound sterling and the euro may reduce demand for Jamaica's export to that region. They also added that trade may be negatively impacted by having to renegotiate existing trade deals. Whichever way it cuts, Mr. Speaker, there will be serious implications. As a nation, we have not been comforted by the utterances of our government, whether unilaterally or with CARICOM, as to what will be done.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that the member's time be extended by 5 minutes to allow him to complete his presentation.
There is a resolution being proposed for you to get 5 minutes to complete your presentation. Those in favor? Those against? As of it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the honourable members. As it relates to trade, we note and welcome the convening of a meeting in London last month of Commonwealth Trade Ministers where the issue of Brexit was discussed and the commitment to have greater trade within the Commonwealth grouping as a new resolve. This, however, Mr. Speaker, cannot be at the expense of a proactive approach needed by Jamaica and CARICOM. In light of the importance and far-reaching implications of Brexit, last year in the sectoral presentation, I urged this House to have a consideration of the matter by a joint sitting of the Internal and External Affairs Committee and the Economy and Production Committee. I'm again urging such a discourse, Mr. Speaker.
Good suggestion.
In closing, Mr. Speaker, I'm reminded of our rich history of diplomatic engagements and our position of principle above expediency. Let us as a country continue and build on the foundations laid by those who have toiled well in the international forum on our behalf and have brought respectability to our small country. Let us continue in our engagements to protect members of our diaspora and assimilate them in our shared vision for Jamaica. Yes. Let us pursue policies which will protect our trade and encourage investments in our country. Let us pursue engagements on the international arena which are aimed at protecting our shores and our environment. We pledge as an opposition to support all well-intentioned initiatives which will lead down to the development of the citizens of this country. Let us pursue a foreign policy which will be beneficial to all Jamaicans, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the honourable members. Wonderful. Comprehensive.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for
Members, please.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that we suspend the debate and the sectoral debate until next Tuesday. Don't ask me what that, you must listen when...
The resolution is that the debate be suspended until next Tuesday. Those in favor? Those against? As of it.
Mr. Speaker, we now take the bill shortly entitled the Plea Negotiation and Agreement Act 2017. I think Mr. Turlang will now make his contribution, after which, who would have one? Mr. Bunting? Mr. Bunting is after. And who else? And Mr. You must listen what...
Minister, please.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Turlow.
As well for having indicated in yesterday's debate their support to the bill. Mr. Speaker, This also meets with my support, Mr. Speaker. This particular piece of legislation, as an attorney at law, will certainly help not only in reducing the backlog in the court system, but it will also allow for the reduction and mitigation and substitution of offences by the acceptance of a plea of a lesser offence as well. It will also, Mr. Speaker, remove the statutory limits which were entered in certain pieces of legislation by way of effecting mandatory minimums which have somehow bound the hands and the nature of the initial principle of the discretion of our judges in several matters. Mr. Speaker, the importance of this piece of legislation as it relates to the renewed discretion being given to our judges to impose a sentence which meets with the rehabilitatory needs of the offender while balancing the needs of justice and restorative justice in particular as it relates to the victims and the communities is of sincere and utmost importance. Mr. Speaker, if I can say one thing about this bill, it would be that it is an important step not only towards the rehabilitation of the accused person, which is one of the tenets of the criminal justice system, but also, Mr. Speaker, in that it paves the way for the road to rehabilitation and the inclusion of all stakeholders, including the victims, the defense, the judiciary, the accused, and defense attorney, towards restorative justice and ultimately towards the healing of our nation. Mr. Speaker, I would, however, as I have indicated to the Minister of Justice, make a particular recommendation or certain recommendations. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, the bill provides that in certain cases, the judges, in their discretion, may make a recommendation for the appointment of legal aid counsel. Mr. Speaker, I would hope, and having discussed the matter with members of the Jamaica Bar Association, and I have received certain documentations from the chairperson of the Criminal Justice Practice and Procedure Committee to indicate that perhaps we could also consider that once someone is proceeding to enter plea negotiations under this bill, that it be mandatory that person be appointed counsel, legal aid, by way of legal aid counsel. Mr. Speaker, I would also recommend that not only should that person be appointed legal aid counsel, but that as it relates to matters in the parish court, that a recommendation be further made that counsel, being so appointed to act on behalf of an accused person who enters into a plea, be of at least 2 years junior at the local bar. As it relates to matters in the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker, I would recommend that persons be appointed to represent accused persons who proceed under this act, persons who are so appointed by the court by way of legal aid, that in matters involved, that in serious matters in the High Court, that those persons be at the very minimum 5 years at the bar. As it relates to, yes, Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the requirement for the sealing of the records, there are members of the Bar Association who have asked me to indicate to the House that perhaps whilst agreements may be properly sealed, that where a defense person, an accused person in an unrelated matter might wish to test the credibility of an accused person who has so entered into a plea negotiation, that those records be unsealed for the purposes of transparency and also to test the credibility of the information that was in fact given pursuant to that plea agreement. As it relates to the statements that must be included as well, Mr. Speaker, the Bar Association has also asked me to indicate, in keeping with the common law principles where a Newton hearing could also be made available by way of the judge's discretion, that as it relates to the statement of facts to be attached and incorporated by reference, that the statements of facts on the defense's side, on the side of the accused person, which might further mitigate or reduce the sentence or charges against him, that those facts per the defense, that they should also be included in the statement as it relates to perhaps giving the defendant or giving an accused person further credit. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I wish to add that as it relates to the considerations for hearing in chambers, again, my Lord, that it is a further recommendation that given the nature of the plea negotiations, that perhaps all such matters should be heard in camera to prevent any prejudice against an accused person at a future date or hearing. If it so pleases you, Mr. Speaker, those are my contributions to the present bill.
Mr. Bunting.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to add my voice in support to the Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act of 2017. I well recall the work that then Minister Mark Golding put in to establishing the working group and having wide-ranging consultations on this matter. In fact, I believe it was a manifesto commitment of the PNP. Had we been returned in the second term, it was included as one of the pieces of legislation that we would have been passing. I remember, I believe it was Justice Carl Harrison who chaired the working group at the time and put in a lot of time in this. Mr. Speaker, this is really important. It's really important that we find a way, Mr. Speaker, to make this plea bargaining work. Just this morning, there was an article covering the opening of the Home Circuit Court, which referred to a backlog of over 700 cases. And I think typically they dispose of maybe 60 cases per session. So, if as many, and with 4 courtrooms and a backlog of 700, you can see unless we find an alternative, then we're going to be faced with this situation for a very long time. Not that this is the only alternative, because we've discussed others. We've discussed the child diversion program, restorative justice legislation, but plea bargaining would be the principal way to reduce the backlog in the courts. The truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, it is not in the interest of justice to have these hundreds of cases traversed each session, and important cases, murder, rape, shooting, delayed year after year after year. The delay compromises, on the one hand, the constitutional rights of the victim and of the accused, who may be wrongly accused, but the whole system of justice, the whole process of investigation and prosecution, with the passage of time, becomes less effective. Victims, or witnesses rather, their memories fade. Sometimes they lose interest coming back time after time after time for these mentioned dates. And also, sometimes they're threatened, sometimes they're even killed. The investigators themselves oftentimes retire while waiting on cases to come up, or migrate, and the case falls apart. So, on both sides, even from the rights of the accused and the long wait that they often have in custody, but on the other side, the rights of the state and the investigators and prosecutors, it's bad all around. Just this morning, it was reported the Secretary of the Bar Association said that clearing the backlog will require new thinking, new attitudes, and a new approach. And he was urging defense attorneys, but I think we could do both the private and urge both the private and public bar to embrace these new ideas, because we can pass a legislation here, but if it's not embraced by the bar, then it really won't have any effect in reducing the backlog. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill, and I urge the minister to use his influence to get the bar to come on board. And whether through education sessions, whether through moral suasion, but it is too important for this initiative to fail, in the interest of justice. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I too rise to support this bill, and especially after looking at the memorandum of objects and reasons, subsection C, confirming the power of the plea judge to reduce penalties for assistance provided to the Crown or to impose a lesser sentence than he would otherwise impose on an accused person, having regard to the degree to which the administration of justice has been facilitated by the accused person or his attorney at law. Mr. Speaker, this is a game changer in our justice landscape and fits squarely within one of the 5 pillars being promoted by the Ministry of National Security. It also fits within the objective of preventative actions, because what this bill is seeking to do, Mr. Speaker, is to take into consideration the information provided by an accused person in assisting the Crown and the police with investigations. As a matter of fact, Section 19 of the bill goes to say a plea judge, 19 subsection 1, may impose a lesser sentence than the plea judge would otherwise impose on an accused person, having regard to the degree in which the accused person has assisted or undertaken to assist the Crown in the prevention, detection, or investigation of, or in proceedings relating to the offense concerned or any other offense, and having regard to the matters set out in subsection 2. Mr. Speaker, the police recently has undertaken to negotiate with accused persons, especially those accused of gun crimes, because it is one thing to hold a person with a gun. The questions that must be asked, where did they get that gun? Because many times the persons you hold with a gun, in all normal circumstances, can't even afford to purchase the gun. So you need to find out, where did they get the gun? Did somebody lend them? Did they rent it? Or did they steal it from somebody? And Mr. Speaker, what the police are doing of late is saying, if you can give us information about the gun that you have and to assist us to hold on to other persons, we will not oppose bail. And what has been happening, Mr. Speaker, there has been a significant jump in the amount of guns that we have been picking up off the streets since the 1st of January this year. And I want to use this opportunity to urge all family members of persons who are accused by the police of a gun crime to urge them to assist the police, talking to the police, telling the police, passing on information, so that not only will that information help the society, it will also help them, because it will come to a reduction in their sentencing when their time comes. The bill goes even further, Mr. Speaker, and I really want to commend the Minister and the ministry team. Because the bill also, under section 21 and 22, has a provision that even after sentencing and a person still has information and shares that information with the prosecution and the Crown, the bill has provision for a further reduction in the sentence of the person. This, Mr. Speaker, I believe is a groundbreaking bill. It is a bill that will assist our justice system. It will help to reduce the backlog. It will assist the investigators in having credible information from accused persons to assist the dispensation of justice and to reduce the caseload that even some of our overworked investigators have to carry. The Ministry of National Security supports this bill and urges all Jamaicans to support the bill, not only here, but in the application of the tenets of this bill. Mr. Speaker, if it so pleases.
Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
I ask that nothing that I say be interpreted as an indication of my opposition to the bill as presented. But I do not share the optimism expressed by the member from Western St. Mary in his support for the bill. It is said that plea bargaining may eliminate long and costly trials. The question is whether or not this information which is presented, or the optimism which is shared, that it will eliminate long and costly trials, is it evidence-based? I suspect it is not. And it may be that the time has come for us to seek guidance from expert testimony to guide us when we are making such far-reaching changes. Benjamin Franklin once observed that necessity never made a good bargain. It may be that the introduction of these provisions into law will bring about that bargain. Mr. Speaker, we've had the anecdotal evidence, and I think that is perhaps all we have, that these provisions will reduce the backlog of which the Bar Association so readily speak. 700 cases being traversed, and I suspect that when we speak of plea bargaining, we're really speaking of those cases where defendants contest their cases on the most flimsiest grounds against the situation where there's overwhelming evidence against them. These cases, they're said to consume a great quantities of time. However, cost may prove to be the catalyst for change, but it can never be the justification. What is essential is that it is introduced to create greater flexibility within the criminal justice system for the benefit of both defendants and the court. And we should take guidance from what our cousins in the American continent do in relation to and the negative effects upon their system in the startup of their plea negotiations. We should look at how their system has benefited and look at other jurisdictions to see how it has presented itself and the negative impacts which have flowed from that. The With the introduction of this bill, Mr. Speaker, there are certain basic minimum safeguards which are required. And I must confess that there are some of these safeguards are built into these provisions. And my concern is in relation to the negotiations taking place with the prosecution. I was of the view that the negotiations would be conducted with the plea judge and not the prosecution. And that is the plea judge who would make a determination. It appears that the bill makes the provision for the prosecution to be an active participant in making the determination in relation to the sentence. Given that that is the case, Mr. Speaker, may I urge caution in how we approach the implementation of these provisions, where the prosecutor, and given the history of prosecutors in Jamaica, which is perhaps not one which covers itself in glory, that we be mindful of what we do in going forward. My other concern in relation to this bill, Mr. Speaker, is in relation to the fact that it makes no provision for the defendant to have his conviction put on appeal. What it merely seeks to do is to have the prosecutor put place for consideration, on the one side, a plea which it is dissatisfied with at a later stage. I would like to see that some balancing act be done on the part to preserve the rights of the defendant, so that if we could introduce a provision where the defendant is permitted to appeal his conviction for whatever reason, just as a safeguard. It is not, as I read it, presently contained in these provisions. Provided the safeguards are imposed and adhered to, plea indications would give the defendant a right to know what sentence would be received on a guilty plea. And may I suggest, Mr. Speaker, that it would help to preserve the shrinking public funds which the Bar Association seeks to be provided to defendants when they are coming before the courts charged with offenses, because each plea is said to warrant the granting of public funds. Already, given the number of cases that we have before the courts, there is a significant contribution that is required from the state to deal with those matters which are already set for trial. And I'd say, again, as a final plea, that we should be guided by data which is available. The courts presently, as they are structured, do not have adequate provisions for the statistics to be put together to guide us as to how many of these cases are before the courts where all that the defendant wants to know is a sentence. I am not sure that the optimism which we're expressing is going to be realized, and against that background, I would urge that we conduct some more serious studies when we are, expressing these optimisms. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister Chuck.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. May I just, first of all, Mr. Speaker, first of all, thank my colleagues who have participated in this bill. We had the member from Southern Trelawney, Southern Trelawney, Central Kingston, Southwest St. Elizabeth, West Central St. James, East Central St. Catherine, Central Manchester, Western St. Mary, and West Central, Northeast St. Catherine. May I say, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the members for supporting the bill, expressing concerns as the member from Northeast St. Catherine has, and I will respond to most, if not all, the concerns as I close and conclude this very important bill, which, as the member from Western St. Mary says, is a game changer. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, let me thank the staff at the ministry, my predecessor Mark Golden, who initiated a review of the plea bargaining bill because it clearly, in its original form, was not working. And therefore, a new bill was necessary, and the bill before us is the product of many discussions with the Bar Association, with the director, the DPP's office, with the Chief Justice and the judges, and we circulated the bill extensively for comments to be made. So, Mr. Speaker, in closing, I will mention one or two changes that we will make at the committee stage. But, Mr. Speaker, let us be very clear. Plea bargaining is a very important input into our criminal justice system. With the best will in the world, Mr. Speaker, the number of cases in the parish courts, the circuit courts, including the home circuit, if we double the number of judges, if we double the number of courts, if we increase the personnel in the courts, we would not be able to try all these cases in a timely manner. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, that has been and is the experience of many countries. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, it is only in the United States that concentrate a great deal on plea bargaining, where over 90% of their cases are dealt with by plea bargaining. In some states, over 97% that they're able to try cases within 6 months. And I say, Mr. Speaker, I hope that if this bill is taken and fully adopted by the Bar Association, by the prosecution, by the judiciary, my hope is that it can have a significant effect on the backlog of cases. Because, Mr. Speaker, at the moment, the statistics do not carefully enumerate the number of cases in all the courts. Various figures have been given, but, Mr. Speaker, there is no doubt that the figures are in the tens of thousands of cases in the parish courts and the circuit courts. Mr. Speaker, we don't know the exact figure, but I'm sure it is in excess of 20 or 30,000 cases to be tried. And, Mr. Speaker, even the 700 cases in the home circuit, if you try continuously for the year, every day of the week, the likelihood is that we couldn't finish the 700 cases this year. Because cases, Mr. Speaker, there are some cases that last long periods of time, sometimes 5 weeks, sometimes more. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is in our interest that we find an alternative way to deal with these matters. Mr. Speaker, the main change to the bill, the original bill, was the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiation and Agreement Act. We now call it, we remove the Criminal Justice, the new bill, which adopts some of the old bill, but a completely new bill is the Plea Negotiations and Agreements Bill. The main and significant difference, Mr. Speaker, is that the accused person is not now required to give any assistance to the Crown to plead guilty before he can start to negotiate a sentence. The original bill only come into play where the accused was given assistance. So in a sense, the accused in the old bill would have to be an informer before the bill could take effect. And no one would really be considered an informer under the old bill. So this bill, Mr. Speaker, changed that so that, yes, you can give assistance. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, it is in the interest of persons to give assistance, as the member from Western St. Mary pointed out, because in giving assistance to the Crown, you can use that under Section 19 to mitigate the sentence that would finally be agreed on and also imposed. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, may I say, no one knows more about the criminal underworld than the criminals themselves. And if they really want to put crime behind them, it is in their interest to remove the environment of criminality. And to that extent, Mr. Speaker, persons who want to plead guilty should be encouraged to give assistance to remove all the opportunities, all the facilities, all the weapons that are used to engage in crime, because they want to put crime behind them, and therefore they can give assistance in ensuring that crime is resolved in their communities. And Mr. Speaker, if they do, then there is no doubt that further benefit in terms of a lesser sentence could be made to the accused person. Mr. Speaker, the bill is important because at the moment, even at this present time, the Chief Justice, with two practice directions, one, that both sides, the Crown and the Defense Counsel, can settle the facts of the case, and secondly, that the judge, the trial judge, can indicate the sentence that would be imposed if the accused pleads guilty, that it is still not working. What this bill has done, Mr. Speaker, is to give some power, I should say, some right, some opportunity to the accused person through his attorney at law to determine the sentence that he agrees on. Now, Mr. Speaker, let me make the point very clear. No one should plead guilty if he's not guilty. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, the bill provides a safeguard that if on the facts they do not show the accused to be guilty of the crime, the plea judge should not accept the plea. Further, Mr. Speaker, if defense counsel or prosecution or the plea judge on the facts of the case identify possible defenses, such as an accident, possible provocation, possible self-defense, or any defense, then the accused man should be encouraged to go to trial rather than to plead guilty. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, we have a situation in this country where the Don might encourage or force one of their members to accept the plea or take the rap for them. And the court must be careful that when an accused person readily offers to plead guilty, that they are not taking the rap for someone else. We have to be careful. We can't prove it, but we must be careful to avoid as many of those instances as possible. Because if on the facts it is not showing that it is the accused who is responsible, then the guilty plea should not be accepted. Because that person may well be taking the rap for someone else. And we must not allow that if we can avoid it. So, Mr. Speaker, based on this, it is important that when the negotiations is done, that the facts of the case must show that the guilty plea that is being offered by the accused, that the facts support the crime. Absolutely. But the point is, if he's charged and the facts don't support it, that he's the person, then the guilty plea should not be thrown out. I mean, the case should be thrown out against him. If the facts don't support him being the person, the case should be thrown out totally. He should not be accepting or pleading guilty to avoid someone else being charged. That's the point I'm making, member. In other words, it could well be someone else, but he's accepting the guilty plea to protect another. Well, in that matter, all I'm really saying is that the plea judge has to make sure that this doesn't happen. Now, Mr. Speaker, the process is one in which the prosecutor, once the file is completed, the prosecutor initiate discussion with the accused through his attorney, and the accused through his attorney can decide whether or not they want to plead guilty. They don't have to. Okay? Or the accused person through his attorney can initiate the process. But at the end of the day, it is a negotiating process where the accused accept wrongdoing, and having accepted wrongdoing, they negotiate the sentence. Now, Mr. Speaker, if a sentence is negotiated and accepted by the plea judge, a form is properly put in place for him to sign off. And once he signs off, the question of an appeal ought not to arise. To answer the member from Northeast St. Catherine, proper consultation, proper advice should be given to him. The plea judge should ask him appropriate questions. And once he has consented and agreed that he is pleading guilty and he will accept the sentence, the question of appeal ought not to arise. No, because you see, Mr. Speaker, if he does not accept the sentence, the plea judge might well say what is agreed between the prosecutor and the defense counsel, he's not accepting. A higher sentence must be imposed, at which point either side can withdraw. So if the plea judge doesn't accept the sentence being proposed, either side can withdraw. Either side, the prosecutor or the defense, can withdraw from the plea agreement if the plea judge does not accept the recommended sentence agreed on between them. So the point, the judge is not necessarily involved at the negotiating stage. But if they can't come to an agreement, they could always appeal to the plea judge for assistance. So the prosecutor and the defense counsel will negotiate, settle the facts, as in case management, agree on a sentence. They may not be able to agree on a sentence. So if they can't agree on a sentence, they might appeal to the plea judge to assist them. But if they agree on a sentence, they can recommend a sentence to the plea judge. The plea judge does not have to accept the recommended sentence because the plea judge has to protect the public interest. The point, Mr. Speaker. The point, Mr. Speaker, is that if there's not a concluded agreement, that the accused person accepts, there's no agreement. If the accused person does not accept what has been proposed by the prosecution or by the plea judge, he withdraws. And he's tried by another judge, not by the plea judge. So is that clear, member? So in other words, once you agree and you sign off that you understand everything you're doing, then there's no need for an appeal. Mr. Speaker, it's important that the negotiation be done with the help of an attorney. It doesn't make sense for an accused person to say, I will do the negotiation. Because the accused person will then be asked to negotiate with the prosecutor. That doesn't make sense. So I agree with the member from East Central St. Catherine that once a person offers to plead guilty, he should be assigned an attorney in the parish court, yes, with 2 years, experience. In the Supreme Court, yes, with experience, 5 years, fine. The point is that it must be an attorney advising the accused person so that he knows exactly what is happening and so that the attorney can negotiate with the prosecutor and both of them will have to convince the plea judge also that it is appropriate to plead guilty, and secondly, that the sentence is appropriate for the crime. Mr. Speaker, if this is done, my view is that we will have a real game changer in the system. Because, Mr. Speaker, the accused person now is in a position to benefit from the guilty plea. Because once he pleads guilty, he can urge through his attorney a proper sentence that he can live with. And once he urges through his attorney the sentence he can live with, then the matter is satisfactory to him. But I go further, Mr. Speaker. Any accused person who is willing to admit his wrongdoing, who is willing to admit his guilt, who is willing to save, Mr. Speaker, any accused person who is willing to admit his guilt, to come to the state to ask for mercy, then the state must also come forward and afford mercy. So the first thing, Mr. Speaker, is that he should be allowed a significant reduction of his sentence, or in the parish courts where the crime is a simple crime, a non-custodial sentence. But, Mr. Speaker, there are crimes where a prison sentence has to be imposed to satisfy the public interest. And if that is done, Mr. Speaker, and it is agreed, the state must even go further. Once it's a guilty plea, you look at the possibility that he could go in a low-risk prison, such as Tamarind Farm, and I'm sure the Minister of National Security will put in place the necessary consideration so he's considered for a low-risk prison. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, that if he pleads guilty, Mr. Speaker, he will be given earlier consideration for parole. So that parole, if he's given earlier consideration, and I will be looking at the Parole Act to allow this, that it becomes another incentive. But finally, Mr. Speaker, on that point, if he pleads guilty, after he has served his sentence, and he puts behind him what is clear, that he's a proper citizen, honest, decent, abiding now, after a period of time, 5 or 10 years, once he's pleaded guilty, the opportunity should be there for him to be eligible for expungement of the record. And, Mr. Speaker, these are incentives which I believe will ensure that accused persons will see the benefit of not fighting the state. If you're wrong, admit you're wrong. Put your future at the mercy of the state, and the state must respond by allowing mercy to the person. And I say, Mr. Speaker, I responded. I said that in questions of we don't have the exact figures for the number of cases, but statistics is working on them for us to get the exact data of the number of cases in the courts. And member, member, why this is important? Why this is important to know, Mr. Speaker? Only about 5 weeks ago, a man was charged with murder for 2002 murder. 2002. And 5 weeks ago, he says, fed up with the system. He pleaded guilty after 15 years. After 15 years, up and down in the courts, 15 years. The man said, I'm tired, I plead guilty. He got 7 years. If he had pleaded guilty early in 2002, he might well be walking free now. You see, and I'm saying these are considerations we must look at. So, Mr. Speaker, having responded to some of the concerns, I now move that the bill be read a second time.
The question is that the bill be read a second time. Those in favor? Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it.
A bill entitled An Act to Repeal the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiations and Agreement Act and make new provisions for a system of plea negotiations and plea agreements and for connected matters read a second time.
The House will now resolve itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill clause by clause.
AG, what section? Come now. All right, when we get there.
I put clause.
When it comes.
Members.
Mr. Chairman, there's some.
I'm going to put the clause under the preliminary heading first. And I'm going to put clause 1.
Yeah, there are some amendments. When we get to the particular clauses, I will point them out to you, Chairman. Go ahead.
I put clause 1. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 2. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 3. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 4. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I'm not going to put the clauses under the negotiating heading. I put clause 5. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against?
Clause 5, Chairman.
One second.
Clause 5, subclause 2A1. An agreement under subsection 1 shall require that A, the accused person undertakes to 1, make a guilty plea to an offense which is disclosed on the facts on which the charge against the accused person is based. At this stage, it's really the allegations.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I'm suggesting you can add or the facts as agreed.
On the facts.
So it should make a guilty plea to an offense which is disclosed on the allegations.
Or the facts as agreed.
Or the facts as agreed on which the charge on the allegations on which the charge against the accused person is based, or the facts as agreed.
Okay.
I put clause 5 as amended. No. I put the amendment to clause 5. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 5 as amended. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 6. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. Clause 7 have an amendment, Minister.
Yes, and clause 7, Mr. Speaker, in clause 4, subsection 4, we would like to delete subsection 4 and replace it with the following. Subsection 4, where the victim is a child, A, under the age of 14 years, representation may be made by one of his parents or his guardian, or where the parents or guardian cannot be located, the children's advocate or his nominee. B, who has attained the age of 14 years but not attained the age of 16 years, representation may be made by the child and one of his parents or his guardian, or where the parents or guardian cannot be located, the children's advocate or his nominee. Or C, who has attained the age of 16 years, representation may be made by the child.
I put clause 7 as amended. I put the amendment to clause 7. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 7 as amended. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. Clause 8.
Chairman, could we ask that this clause be deleted and substituted with this new clause 8? Plea agreements, clause 8. A plea agreement which has been concluded between the prosecutor and the attorney at law for the accused person, A, shall contain the information set out in the schedule, B, may be in the prescribed form, and C, shall be signed by the prosecutor and the attorney at law for the accused person.
I put the amendment to clause 8. Those in favor?
Yes.
Those against? As of it. I put clause 8 as amended.
He signs the agreement.
Those in favor?
But
Those against? As of it.
the agreement is signed by both.
I put clause 9. Those in favor?
No, Mr. Speaker, one change to subclause 9.3. Subclause 9.3 doesn't, subclause 9.3, we would like to delete what is there and replace it with this, Mr. Speaker. Please take these words, members. The new subclause 9.3 should read, where a proposed being discussed, comma, the accused, comma, accompanied by his attorney at law, comma, may attend hearings held in chambers with the approval of the plea judge. I read again, Mr. Speaker. Where a proposed or executed agreement is being discussed, comma, the accused, comma, accompanied by his attorney at law, comma, may attend hearings held in chambers with the approval of the plea judge. Because the plea judge might say, no, I don't want to hear the accused. In chambers, in chambers. He may not want to hear the accused. I know, but he may say, I will only listen to the attorneys. In chambers. Yeah.
That's it, Minister.
Yes.
I put the amendment to clause 9. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it. I put clause 9 as amended. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it.
Mr. Speaker, may I suggest you put clauses 10 to 18?
You have an amendment to clause 10?
No.
I put clause 10
to 18.
I put clause 10 to clause 17.
To 18.
B.
10 to 17. 10 to 17. 10 to 17. Put it again. Put them again.
Put clause.
10 to 17.
I put clause 10 to clause 17. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it. I'm now going to put the clauses under the sentencing heading. I put clause 18. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it.
No, sorry. Clause 19, Mr. Speaker.
Clause 19, you have an amendment?
Yes. In clause 19, subsection 2, delete the word and that appearing at the end of paragraph G, and 2, delete the full stop appearing at the end of paragraph H and substitute therefore a semicolon. 3, insert next after paragraph H the following. I, where the accused person has agreed to compensate the victim. I, where the accused person has agreed to compensate the victim. J, where the accused person offers to plead guilty soon after he has been charged or at the earliest possible time after the file is completed.
So you can put 19 to 22, no? After the amendment. That's it, Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker,
Mr.
Chairman, immediately after paragraph...
The amendment to clause 19.
Right. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The amendment to clause 19. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. You'd like me to put clause 19 again? I put clause 19 as amended. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I can put clause 20 to 22.
Yes. You can put
clause 20 to 22. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. I will now go to the general heading.
You can put clause 23 to 32, Mr. Speaker.
Do you like to put the
23 to 32.
We put clause 23 to clause 32. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, in the schedule immediately after number 18, we would like to add the following paragraphs 19, 20, and 21. Paragraph 19 should read, Mr. Speaker, the following statement by the accused. I have read this agreement and carefully discussed each paragraph with my attorney at law. I understand the terms of this agreement and agree to it without reservation. I voluntarily and of my free will agree to those terms. I am pleading guilty to the charge or charges. My attorney at law has advised me of my rights, of my possible defenses, of the penalties, and of the consequences of entering into this agreement. No promises, agreements, understanding, or inducements have been made to me other than those contained in this agreement. No one has threatened or forced me in any way to enter into this agreement. I have had sufficient time to confer with my attorney at law concerning the plea agreement. I am satisfied with the representation of my attorney at law in this matter, and he would sign, Mr. Speaker, to what I have just read. Now, paragraph 20 should be added, and it should read as follows. The following statement by the attorney at law representing the accused. I am the attorney at law for, name of the accused. I have read this agreement and carefully discussed each paragraph of this agreement with my client. Further, I have fully advised my client of his rights, of possible defenses, of the penalties, and of the consequences of entering into this agreement. To the best of my knowledge and belief, my client's decision to enter into this agreement is an informed and voluntary one. And the attorney at law would sign there, Mr. Speaker. And paragraph 21, such other provision as the Director of Public Prosecution considers necessary or desirable could be added later on, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, a form will be added, that an optional form that the accused can sign if he so desires. That is the extent of the changes and amendments, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Pickersgill.
It was circulated.
Minister, wouldn't you, I would like to suggest the reasons instead of consequences. I don't like the...
In paragraph, which paragraph?
20, the third line from the fourth line from the bottom.
And of the consequences?
And I put reasons, consequences.
Okay. And of the reason, no, that makes sense.
Yes.
I would agree to that change. What?
No. Yes. Two different things.
Hold on. So you have... The attorney has read the agreement, has carefully discussed each paragraph with the client,
yes,
fully advised the client of his rights,
yes,
possible defenses, penalties, and of the consequences of entering into the plea agreement.
Reasons. Part of the reasons will be consequence. Or involving reason must be consequence. Because he would have been told if so-and-so happened, you could receive a sentence of so-and-so. Yes, but under reasons would come potential consequences.
Reasons is wider than...
I would suggest adding it, but not certainly to the exclusion of the consequences, because once you enter the plea, the consequences of the sentence follow. And the sentence can either be a pecuniary or one of imprisonment.
Mr. Chairman, may I just suggest, and of the reasons and consequences, and of the reasons and consequences of entering into this agreement. Yeah.
Anything for you.
I now put the amendments to the schedule. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it. I now put the schedule as amended.
Chairman.
Those in favor?
Chairman, I'm sorry, but it would be reasons for and consequences of, for it to make sense properly.
And consequences of
Members, having accepted the amendments, I now put the schedule as amended. Those in favor?
Aye.
As of it. I put the title and enacting clause. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it.
How many amendments? 11.
The question is that I do report the bill as having passed committee stage with 11 amendments. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? As of it.
We can change it. We tell the Senate to move that.
I do report the bill as having passed committee stage with 11 amendments. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that the bill be read a third time.
The question is that the bill be read a third time. Those in favor? Those against? As of it. Clerk.
A bill entitled An Act to Repeal the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act and make new provisions for a system of plea negotiations and plea agreements and for connected matters read a third time and passed.
Mr. Speaker, it's not intended to do any further business today, so I ask that the House be adjourned until next Tuesday, at the 25th of April at 2 p.m.
The motion is that the House be now adjourned until next week, Tuesday, the 25th, at 2 o'clock. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? As of it. This Honourable House now stands adjourned until next Tuesday, the 25th, at 2 p.m.
Sports, culture and the arts. You're watching PBC Jamaica.
My friends, we're living in the exciting prophesied time of the end. We must prepare for the glorious kingdom to come.
The religious system of the man of sin is in place today right now and already has multiple millions in its sway.
We can tell you how to escape the coming tribulation.
You need to know the future.